Welcome to episode 11 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. If you're in the junk removal industry, you want to get in the junk removal industry, you despise the junk removal industry, we don't care. But if you're looking to grow, scale, expand, contrast, go somewhere in this world, you've come to the right place. You have joined myself, Andy Weins, and Casey Bubba Lawrence on the Trash Talk Business Podcast, where we talk about junk, we talk about being veterans, we talk a little trash. And today, we got ourselves a guest. Chris Chase is joining us. The last couple of weeks, we've been having guests come on in. The qualifier to be a guest on this show here is you say, hey, I got some questions. And we say, cool, let's throw a camera on you, mic you up, and then let's answer those questions in real time. So like always, I know nothing. Casey, what are we talking about today?
Well, today I'd like to know your why. Why do you want to get into the junk removal business? Why are you in the junk removal business? Or why do you want to get the fuck out of the junk removal business? Because I think everything revolves around the word fucking why.
I like it. Actually, I saw your post earlier today saying that. So let's jump in without further ado. Chris, let's talk. You heard a few episodes. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about why you hit us up. Let's start there. Why did you reach out to us? Here you are. Let's jam.
So about 2 weeks ago, there was a local junk removal business that is for sale. It's still for sale. And then, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
So it was for sale. I found the listing. I inquired about it. So junk removal for me has always been interested because the different avenues, like y'all were talking earlier about, selling horse crap or whatever, there's so many different things that you can do with junk removal, reselling, repurposing. And then, when I was younger, my mom and them used to buy storage units and we would go through it and resell it. It's just always something that's interested me. As far as, I also do radon mitigation now too, and I really like that, but junk removal has always been something that it's been in the back of my mind. So when this job was up for sale, I was really interested. But after talking, the numbers just didn't really work out for me. There wasn't going to be a whole lot of meat left on the bone with the debt service of the business. Luckily he was going to seller finance it, so that was a pretty sweet deal. But the numbers didn't add up for me. So I think last week I told him I was no longer interested.
So let's talk about that. So what was it, a franchise or was it a local shop?
Just a local shop.
And what were they looking to sell the business for?
They wanted $67,000 for it.
Okay. And what all came with that $67,000?
It was 73 to 75 people on a route. He did residential trash pickup in a route.
Okay.
And then it had 2 trucks, which that's part of the reason why I kind of declined on it too. Is the one truck was like a 2002 GMC 2500, but it was out of inspection, so it needed a lot of work.
It needed a lot of love.
Yeah. And then the other
maybe a pasture.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one was a 2007 Ford F550, which I'm a Ford person, but that 6.0 engine is not a very good engine to have, for something you want reliable. So that was kind of part of it too, is I didn't really want the vehicles that he had, but the reason I wanted to buy the vehicles is because if he didn't sell them, he was going to keep doing junk removal from people's homes. So I kind of was going to buy it to keep him from doing that part of it.
I have a quick question.
Okay.
Did he have any notes on the vehicles or were they paid off?
He did have some left over on the Ford, the F450.
Okay. The reason I ask,
so what was
sorry, Andy. The only reason I ask is because at that point, if they were paid off, technically you wouldn't really be buying the trucks, but he would feel like you're buying the trucks. Because they kind of come with the territory. It wouldn't be a liability unless you used them, honestly. Right. So, but yeah, go on. I'm sorry.
So no, that's a great question, Casey, because I know you said from the top there was debt on the company. So, okay, so we're talking So is that a residential route that he runs, those 73, 75 homes?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a residential route. What are those homes worth? What is the annual, or what is the contractual obligation for those homes right now?
Well, as far as the homes, I didn't actually go through the route. We just had a meeting, face to face, and I didn't actually go through the route to see the homes, but the contracts were for 6 months for the route, and the cheapest being $25 a month if you auto pay.
Okay, so is that weekly or bi-weekly pickup?
That's weekly.
At $25 a month?
Mm-hmm.
Trash cans, right?
Now,
I'm guessing.
That's that's at the smallest baggage, and like I said, auto pay. But yeah, that's something I thought about too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if all 75 of those houses were condos and it was one street, okay,
Yeah.
rock and roll. But it's a tough way to make a living that way. And I know I run routes. So I have a diverse business. And I got 10 trucks, and they're not all doing the same thing. So there's a beautiful thing in that subscription model. I love it. Casey, for a while there, was doing porter services. He was making $150 a night to empty trash cans. But it was all around a mall.
$150 a day.
Yeah,
3 days a week. And it was a year contract for a property management company. That was just one property. So we had a few properties. So in that sense, your goal would be, hey, how can I have one crew just do that every day kind of thing,
Right.
Yeah, how many days a week was he running that route? Just one day a week?
Just
or
one
did it
day.
Take him more?
No,
okay.
yeah.
So let's just do some hillbilly math here, right? Let's say average 30. What's that?
So if you go off the cheapest amount, $25 per house per month, I mean, you're looking at $11,200 something in 6 months for the contract.
Yeah.
For the work.
I did. So here's the problem. If you do 30, let's say 35 hours a month, right?
Yeah.
Blended average, right? 30 at 75 homes. It's only $2,500 in revenue a month, right? And you got to go out 4 weeks. It's only $650 a day.
Yeah.
I mean, your expenses are low because your trucks are cheap, but by the time you pay a wage, is that one guy or two guys that are running that?
One guy.
So one guy, again, there could be a blended average. It's probably going to cost you about $40 an hour to run your truck, and that is bare minimum, $40 an hour.
Yeah.
That's pay your guy, pay your taxes, pay your workers' comp, right? Let's just break it down Barney style. If you're paying a guy $15 an hour, by the time you factor in workers' comp plus taxes, it's $20 an hour. Right now, you got to factor in what your trucks are running at. If you're running, 30, let's just say 16 miles, right? 16 to 20 miles in an hour on this route, and fuel's at $5 a gallon right now, and you're only getting 8 miles to the gallon. Now I'm making it simpler math for myself here, right? Now you're at $10 an hour running on that truck, okay? And now you have not put money aside for the payment, depending on what it is, but you're going to have to put money aside to replace that truck, especially those trucks. Right? I haven't got to disposal yet, right? So now you got $5 an hour on just maintenance, repair, and put money aside to replace it. And then on top of it, to Casey's point, you're going to have disposal, right? And whatever that might be. Normally, minimum tonnage going to landfill is like for us, and you can figure that out pretty easy, but for us, just to drive in the landfill is $115. So let's say even if you could service 75 houses in one load, right? Let's say it's 150 to go into the landfill, right? By 75, it's $2 a house in disposal.
Right.
So right there, you're at $37.50 an hour of cost. And that's all things going right. You haven't found the person. You haven't really. Those are ugly margins, right? When I talk about business, you got to get 3 times cost. That's it. 3 times your known cost. That's it. I'm sorry, 3 times known variable cost. Let me explain that.
So real quick while he's taking a drink, remember this: buyers go off of the average worst, sellers go off of the average best, right? So you buying a company at his lowest at $25 a month. You need to find the average and go with the worst average, because remember, so for instance, there is a junk removal company. It's insane. Andy, you're going to laugh. Outside of Pensacola, Florida. Okay. and they helped my mom with some shit when she moved in there. They're affiliated with a past company of ours. And she was talking to them about their disposal, and she's like, "Oh, we only pay $18 a load." And they're like, "A ton? No, like for the trailer. We have a landfill here. It's only $18 to dump an entire trailer." Now, that sounds amazing, but here's the thing. They are a terrible example because they are not an average across the board.
Yeah.
Right.
As far as disposal goes. Like, that is like, if I had $18, let me tell you. But still, it's, remember that. I always go off the worst average, so.
Right.
Yeah. Real quick, Chris, where are you located again?
I'm in Virginia.
Okay. So you're probably, I mean, again, I'm not even going to go. Yeah, I know in Wisconsin here, like when I told people it was $115 for me to drive in the landfill, they thought I was crazy. But I'm like, that's the cost of doing business up here. And I'm not the most expensive. I had a business in the Twin Cities that was the most expensive because they got you for every couch, every cushion, every fucking mattress, everything that wasn't super compactable, they hit you for because they didn't have any landfills nearby. All they had was transfer stations. Right. And in transfer stations, and even landfills for that matter, but more so with transfer stations, they're all about weight, not volume. So when you brought in things that were of a high volume with low weight, they charged you extra for them. So what should have been $120 to $150 in a landfill could have been $300, $350 all day because of the what was in the load
for air
when we weren't charging by it for air.
Yeah,
the air between the springs and the cloth on a mattress. That's what they charge you for because that air reduced their capacity. I ain't mad at them. But it made it a hell of a time to run a business. I'll tell you that much. Okay. So let's get, we're getting off track as we do. So I'll explain my hillbilly math real quick on 3 times variable cost. If it costs you right now on average costs me about $60 an hour to run a truck 2-man team, right? And that varies based on which truck they're driving and the price of fuel. But let's say $60. I would love to get $180. That is I would like to get that, right? 3 times cost. I need a minimum 2 times, right? 180. And more often than not, my pricing comes out to about 2.5x variable cost because 1x of variable cost goes towards fixed cost, right? So that fixed cost is going to go into our building. It goes in the operations people. It goes into the general liability insurance because it's not auto insurance. Auto insurance is, I look at it as a variable cost because it's a variable. If I don't have the truck, I don't have it, right? That's where I break that down. But our GL, all other fixed costs, right? So if I'm running a truck at let's say $150 an hour, I'm charging someone. In an ideal world, I'm only making $30 an hour, and of that $30, that's got to cover all the shit that it could hit the fan.
Yeah,
and even in that fixed cost, I like to bake it. Some marketing, advertising, things like that, and then that so that half a whatever you want to call it. So let's say, in the 2.5 model, that's 20% profitability. Right, that's where we start. I think our business is running a little bit north of 20% profitability right now. That's good. If I'm south of 20%, I'm not feeling so hot. And that's years of doing it.
So what else came with the sale besides the route and the trucks? Was there anything else that was in the purchase?
Other than like a snow blade or something, it wasn't much else. It didn't come with there's no billing or anything like that.
Is there a customer? Was there a customer list?
Yeah, he had
how many?
The 6 months.
But beyond that,
no, I don't think so. And now, other than for junk removal, he did have a waiting list for that. And honestly, that's kind of what attracted me to this. It wasn't so much the route. The route was attracted to me to kind of sustain money coming in, but the junk removal is kind of where I was focused. That was going to be icing on the cake on top of the bills being paid. If it makes sense.
So real quick, what do you mean he had a waiting list?
He had a list of junk removal jobs, like real estate agents that's ready for him to do junk removal jobs.
Okay, so he had scheduled work that he hadn't completed yet.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even scheduled. They're calling him, asking him for it, but since he's wanting to transition out of it, he wasn't doing anything with it, if that makes sense.
Has he been doing junk removal, though, before this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What about employees? Does it come with employees?
It's just him and a partner. They do it on their own.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, the challenge was $67,000. There's not a lot of value there, right? Like some people factor goodwill, marketing, right? What you have to look at is how much would it cost me to rebuild this thing on my own,
right?
And then what is the delta between rebuild and what he has, right? I mean, the truck's not for nothing. That's a wash. You got a truck that's more than 15 years old. It's worth nothing. Mm-hmm. And I got a truck that's more than 15 years old. It's my baby. It's my 2004 GMC 7500. I mean, we paid cash for it. I think we paid $15,000 or $18,000 cash for it 5 years ago. Our new GM got in it, and he's like, "I can't believe you guys put this thing on the road every day." I said, "She's a little loud. She's got a little bit of a hum. That's all she do. She's never once left us stranded, and has made me tens of thousands of dollars." Now, the wrap might be holding the truck together or the truck's holding the wrap together. I'm not sure, right? It's worth when we put a new wrap on it a couple of years ago, that's about what it was worth, about $3,000.
Yeah.
So when I put a $3,000 wrap on it, I did not double its value.
Right.
It just didn't happen. So I'm being sarcastic, but the fact of the matter is, in the real world, I would say vehicles over 10 years, equipment over 15. You're getting to that, not worth it, right? Mm-hmm. And again, like Casey said, if there's a note on it, you're transferring some ownership, but you're inheriting a responsibility that
liability
you don't want, and some debt that isn't healthy. 67,000 is, without hearing anything else, yeah, that's insane, because for 15,000 you can get a junk removal company off the ground.
Right. That was kind of yeah.
That's website, brand, just the marketing aspect of it. Now, you don't have the customer list, you don't have the goodwill, you don't have the name, you don't have the phone number, things that he has, but those intangibles aren't worth $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
And even the contract itself, I think what Casey's hillbilly math was $11,000. That contract, the resale value of that contract is a fraction of that. Right. Yeah. The resale value of that is maybe 20 to 30% of its worth, because you still have to do it. It's low margin. It's going to cost you money to do it. And there's nothing saying they'll stay on. If they stay on beyond 6 months, that's because you gave them good service, not because they were locked in. Now, if they had these people locked into a 3, 4, 5 year contract, still worth 20%, but 20% of 4 years is a hell of a lot more than 20% of 6 months.
Right.
Right. That is, and I'm not knocking. Just full transparency, this guy, God bless him, he's got 75 customers that he convinced to let him run, and he's doing that with another partner. Everything they're doing sounds good. Sounds like a great business model. They're keeping expenses low. They are backed up on customers. But this is the challenge, and Casey and I talk about this often. And it goes to what Casey said at the top of the hour. Why are you in this? Because if they were in this to grow and sell a tangible company for $67,000, they have not made the right choices up until now to get themselves to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? If you told me, hey, they got a customer list of 4,000 customers they've worked with in the last 10 years. You see them all over the time or all over the place. They have a brand that's recognizable. They got a phone number that doesn't stop ringing. They got some tangible things. That's interesting. The other thing is they don't have a trained staff.
Right.
So here's the thing I look about with contracts, right? Contracts are awesome. They're great. They're amazing. If you could have a perfect world and you could have a business that you could just have and sell, the best thing to have would be a subscription-based business, because they're contracts. Yeah. You have multiple coming in all the time and consistent. Here's the one problem about contracts in the service industry. If they're less than a year, they ain't worth the value that you're paying. Because that means in 6 months you have to have this already ready to roll. In 6 months you have to either resell those customers, or you have to replace those customers at a higher rate, because especially in today's market, in 6 months, your cost is changing, but your price isn't. So when you have a contract, a 6 month is a great trial contract with a property management company or an apartment complex. Hey, this is who I am. This is how it looks. Let's do business. Let's make lemonade. But when you lock them down, I gave a trash there was an airport, municipal airport around here that had a neighborhood. It had like 60 houses or something, and most of these houses had hangars. You could tell the customers were mainly retired, right? Their issue was there was no HOA, so everybody had different trash cans, dumpsters or trash cans, and they had to repave the road themselves. And they're like, look, dude, we're having trash trucks coming every single day because everybody's on different routes from different companies. So we came in, I gave them a price, and I was like, hey, here's my 1 year, which was not worth it. Here's my 3 year, and here's my 5 year. Now, the best value was 3 years. 5 years is hard to do because you don't know what 5 years looks like. You want 3 years.
Yep.
And then the 1 year is like, I'm going to have you priced really high because if I only get this for a year, I'm going to make it worth it for me. Their issue was they had one guy who loved his 2-yard dumpster outside. He didn't want to change it. Well, they were like, shit, we can't do this without everybody agreeing because we don't have an organization. But I priced it out. And I remember for one crew and one trailer to do it once a week, it was going to cost me around, like Andy said, I think he said like 60. I think I was around $55 an hour. And that wasn't even including, honestly, like what if you have bulk? Because they're going to see my trailer. They're going to be like, hey, put the couch out. Trash guy's coming tomorrow. Right? So there's a lot of factors. Now, I'm not saying don't buy that company. I'm saying negotiate. If you were to really be into this, like, hey, I really want this company, but I don't like the numbers. Here's the cool thing is you have leverage, right? In that instance.
Yeah. Yeah. Buy the customer list, buy the contract and then buy the name, but don't buy the fucking trucks, and even at that, I mean, what you're doing is, if you want to get into junk removal, what you're doing is you are paying to accelerate your growth. So one of the reasons why people like myself got into franchising, right? And instead of taking 6 months to figure out the answers, I was like, all right, I'm going to hit the easy button. I'm going to buy a franchise and I'm going to get there faster. Now, the problem is what I thought was like, oh, I'm going to buy 5 years of knowledge. I bought about 90 days of knowledge and it wasn't enough, right? That's a fact. With you, it's like you could spend, $15,000, $20,000 getting your business off. Yeah. You could muddle through another $15,000 to $20,000 in mistakes. Right now you're $40,000 into it, or you could spend 50 and buy this business that's all set and to go. Right. And that's probably about what the company is worth. And that's, again, that's without even looking at EBITDA. And did he have, that was the other thing I'll ask real quick, because now I'm just guessing. I hate to do that. Did he have a clean P&L for you to look at?
We didn't get to that point.
Okay. So, that's that. If I was looking to buy a company, that's the first question I'd ask.
Right. Honestly,
first is, do you have one? Second is, can I see it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think I was just so excited to see it at first. I just, I didn't get to those questions yet. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, these numbers aren't working out right. And honestly, I did offer him 54, and he was going to accept it. But then, it was like 8% interest for seller financing, and then I kept doing the numbers, and it wasn't enough left over. Wasn't enough meat on the bone.
Well, I think the contract alone is worth $5,000. Honestly, that's what I think. 6 months at $11,000. I think I'm giving you $1 or $2. But if someone offered me, hey, here's the contract, 6 months contract, and the most you're going to make out of it regularly, consistently in 6 months is $11,213, then I'd say okay. And
yeah. The problem with that, Matt. Yeah, I mean, you're being great. You're being gracious at valuing that at $5,000, right? We already figured that 2/3, right? We figured it was going to be about $37.5, $40 an hour to run that truck with the guy, right? Because you can't run it yourself. Because you could, but you also got to factor what you're worth. Even if you're only worth $15 an hour, you got to still factor that, because that's time, energy you're not putting into other aspects of your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like it's 600. It's $600 a week roughly to do it. I don't know how many homes. Again, depending on how far away the houses are. Like waste management, a good waste management truck, an ASL, the automatic side loader, they can do 90 houses in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'd argue you can't with your truck and trailer.
Right.
I know doing bulk in a wide area, a truck is screaming if they can do 60 stops in a day, 60 to 70 stops in a day. Right? That's bulk, so a little bit different. So even if, let's just it takes you a full day to do that route at 40, at a cost of $40 an hour.
You
For
priced
example,
out.
you're $320 into it with $650 coming back. You're making $330 in a perfect world a week, $330 a week take home, at $330 a week by what would we say, 26 weeks,
Yeah,
$8,500. And that's
24 weeks.
kind of
You made the right.
24. I did 26 weeks, yeah, but whatever. Yeah. I just, but either way, 50,000, 8% is whatever. It's better than what a bank will give you. No one else would finance it. Yeah, I mean, seller finance is the way to go. That means that he doesn't need the money, but he needs money to live. If that makes sense. And at 8%, that part is extremely fair.
Yeah.
What? Actually, can you tell me the name of the company? Is it public knowledge that they're for sale?
I
I just want to see what his website looks like.
It's Backroad Baggage. Let me see.
Not gonna lie, I kind of like that name.
Honestly, I didn't really like it so much at first.
Really? I like that. I don't know why.
Let me see. I had it pulled up here somewhere. Yeah, backroadbaggage.com.
Close. He's got one review on Google, and that's in Luray.
Luray. Mm-hmm.
It's a good
What's
name.
the
That's a strong name,
population
Jack.
in that area? Did you look at that?
No, I looked it up. Every one of them but that one.
Because it looks like his website immediately is like mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
And that right there is also a huge factor because what's everybody doing right now? They're fucking moving, right? So population matters.
4,800.
Okay.
Let
So
me,
right now,
I'll share my screen here.
okay.
I just want to evaluate. So Casey, I'll say between Casey and I, Casey's stronger in the marketing side of the house. I got my opinions right off the bat with the website, but I'd love to see.
I don't see any junk or trucks. It looks like honestly, it looks like a newspaper article. It looks like an article.
I mean, seriously, you're right. It reads more. It doesn't. Yeah, this is driving me nuts. I don't know what the hell this is all about. If that's an ad,
That's
or
his
mobile pressure.
That's his other business. So that's
The mobile pressure washing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's got an ad for his own business within his business.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is man. This is driving me nuts.
I don't see a house.
Well, it's driving me nuts. 'Cause I don't. Well, I'm just struggling. Also, like you can't even read the font up here because it gets broken up. It does have a
I'll
call
say
button,
this.
so the button works.
If I were to look at this website, it looks like he does pickups off the side of the road in the country. That's
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Hillbilly trash removal.
which look, I'm not knocking
Which
him, but when it comes down to selling
there's-
and buying a business, it matters a lot.
Right.
And this is the challenge. And this is exactly it, right? What he's doing is there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. I started my business with the clutter busters, right? We were eco-friendly clutter removal for your home and business. I started with even less than this, but I got somewhere eventually by taking some chances and making some choices. The challenge with someone like him, and again, I'm full transparency, is that if he wasn't looking to sell, there'd be no issues. Now the website broke, so I can't get out of this now. Because I clicked on a button.
That's how they get you.
Website. But the fact he's looking to sell, this is one of the challenges we've seen. And we've seen this even with franchisees. Franchisees will spend 3, 4, 5 years. We know 2 of them recently, where they spend 3, 4, 5 years building their business, but they are their business. They never get out of the truck. They never get beyond this. And they're like, oh, I'm sick of busting my ass and breaking my back. I'm going to sell for 6 figures. And it's like, but you're not worth 5 figures. And you want 7 figures. Right? And I'm being a little facetious here, But they're like, oh, well, we did $1 million last year. I'm like, all right, well, what'd you net? Oh, 200. Well, did you pay yourselves? Well, no. Okay, so it's you and your wife. So normalize your salary. You made 50. Even a 7x, let's go 7x EBITDA. You're worth $350,000. And that's being extremely generous. Now, good luck trying to sell it for that price.
Yeah.
Chances are you're going to get 3 to 4x EBITDA. So now you made $200,000 last year running your company. You can probably sell it for $200,000. And there's all these other factors. You can go off of revenue. You can go off EBITDA. You can go off of risk. You go off what the owners, pay, the goodwill, how many years have you been in business. All these factors at the end of the day. Why would someone spend $250,000 or $200,000 to $350,000 when they can rebuild it themselves for $50,000?
Right.
And that's not a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
What else are you getting? Customer list, contracts, website, a brand, all these things you can qualify. First thing I see is he has 1 review on Google, right? That would lead me to believe that there's not much of a customer list,
right?
Or strong marketing presence. That is it. 1 Google review and 5 Facebook reviews.
So, Chris, are you currently actively
2 years ago?
Are you actively searching for a business to either buy or invest in or start? Because the reason I ask, actually, go ahead, answer that. Yeah, yes or no. Are you currently looking to buy into a business or start a new business?
Well, yes. I was looking for. I was thinking about starting from scratch until this came along. But then at the same time, in the middle of negotiating with him about this business, I was offered another position doing radon mitigation, which I do now. What I do now. But I still.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say that
there's a delay. Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is I try to. I'm sure you've heard this a million times. Surround yourself with smarter and more successful people than yourself. Mm-hmm. And like, for instance, I have it's a Marine buddy. He spoke at my veterans group 2 weeks ago. He's a broker. He's a business broker. That's it. That's all he does. Buys and sells businesses for people. He moves people. Where do you want to be? I want to be out of my business. Cool. Let's sell it. Right. I want to be in a business. Mm-hmm. Let's buy one. And the one thing I learned from him is, dude, when you want something done, you want it done right. And just like real estate, when you're buying a house, I don't care who you are, always get a realtor. I mean, just do it because they know that's all they do. That's their profession. Just like if you want to buy a business, get a business broker because that's what they do. And they are going to find the things that you may not find or you may not be shown. Like, hey, man, look, we did some checking. This guy, he owes a lot of money to these subs or these vendors. So when you buy this business, you got to deal with that. But it's one thing I looked at because I sold my last junk removal company and I learned a lot in that process, man. I did. The first thing you got to do is take your emotions out of it when selling because everybody's going to think, hey, I got a fucking giant business right here. I want millions of dollars. And they're going to be like, yeah, here you go. You're like, what? It's insulting. But it's because it's all about the numbers. The numbers have to make sense. Now, why junk removal? I want you to, if that's what you're wanting to get into, I want to know why junk removal. Is it because it's simple? It's easy? I have a truck and trailer already. It's easy to get started. If your why is I want to get rich, I'd say don't do it. Because in order to get rich, it's going to take a while, and it's going to take courses. It's going to take consulting. It's going to take constant training because it's an industry where I wouldn't say it's volatile, but there's a lot of factors involved. And at a moment's maybe it is volatile, but at a moment's notice, you could be on your high horse and get knocked off real quick where you have to improvise, even if you're out of the company.
I'll say it's volatile. I mean, there was 60 days in 2020 where we couldn't go into people's houses.
Yeah.
People adjusted and figured it out, but don't say it's volatile.
Yeah.
With disposal rising, fuel prices rising, wages rising, right? People you got sales, but you can't make, you're not making the money you made before. So There's volatility in every industry.
Yeah.
Now there's work in front, but it's definitely volatile. But no, let's jump into that, Chris. Right? Like, so I'm hearing some things, but I want to hear it from you. Why junk removal?
Well, like I was alluding to earlier, it's just there's so many different avenues and so many different things that you can do with junk removal. You know, you can resell it, you can repurpose it, and people are always going to need trash moved somewhere. You know, I like the whole business model of it and so many different things you can do with this one business. And like I said, you know, when I was younger and, you know, I like going through stuff, you know, I like looking for the gold, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get as excited about the idea of junk removal as you do radon?
More so.
Okay. So that's the thing. So I grew up very similar. I grew up similar to you. Casey didn't know shit about junk removal, but found a passion for it in time. And both those things work. You got to be passionate about what you do. If you have an interest, it will support your passion. You know, I will say that one of the things with junk removal, a lot of people get into it because like, oh, I'm going to find treasures, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. There's a huge emotional side behind it that's very interesting and fun. But if you want to be in the resale business, go be in the resale business.
Yeah.
Because it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, I get excited when I find certain things. Like we found some Tonka trucks the other day, and I was like, let's go. Now they're in my conference room, I'm fucking excited.
Yeah.
But that excitement lasts for about 10 minutes. And, you know, when I go do tours and I'll show people, like, look at my Tonka trucks.
Yeah.
But that excitement doesn't pay my employees.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't put food on my table.
Right.
So it's fulfilling for a minute. But at the end of the day, what puts food on my table is the fact that there's, you know, it's a strong industry, and I figure out a way to do it efficiently. And even me, I'm a scrapping guy, but our back end makes up less than 10% of our total revenue. We get paid on the front end to your point, get trash from A to B. So, you know, as long as there's been humans, there's been trash. That's it. So if you're excited about that, get excited, stay excited. Best thing you could do right now is start banging jobs. I would go work for this cat. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would go work for him for a period. Because you will find out quick, fast, in a hurry whether you like to do it or not.
Yeah.
Well, I've done that now. So I'm working currently for a local dumpster. He rents out dumpsters because that's another avenue of this that I wanted to get into is for the DIYers, drop them the can, let them do it, and you're still making money.
Yeah.
So I started working for this guy just to see how that whole system works.
Yeah. That's the best thing. A lot of people say, I don't know what to do, or I can't. You can always do something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And me personally, I don't get excited about dumpsters. I just don't. There's a lot of guys I know that made their money in dumpsters. There's also people I know that lost their asses in dumpsters, or they couldn't figure it out to compete with the big boys in the dumpster world. You know, I've looked back the last couple of years, like, all right, could dumpsters have been a thing? Could have been, right? I had a period of time when I could have done some commercial work if I wanted to get in the dumpster game, and I wasn't passionate about it. It wasn't exciting to me. And I like the physical activity, the physical work of junk removal when you're, loading, unloading. Dumpsters more of a logistics play. There's plenty of people that make money in dumpsters, or they make money brokering trash. So I would, and even those guys that whatever the back, I put it down, what back road baggage, those cats, I would go work for them because you'll find out after a couple of days or a couple of weeks whether or not you want to hump trash bags or not. And whether it's exciting, because if it ain't exciting to humping them, it doesn't matter what you fucking find, because you'll never find the shit because you're never going to be excited enough to go out and haul it. Like, and Casey's out there hauling concrete and brush, right? He's excited to clear out the space. You ain't digging through concrete and brush looking for treasures. It's just weight and capacity.
Right. And like Andy said, I found my passion after starting. Junk removal for me happened to be the opportunity. I wasn't searching for it. It was just there, right? Like, hey, I had an opportunity come my way. I was at the bottom of my rope, and I said, fuck it, why not? Like, there's literally nothing else right now that I could lose. Why not go pick up trash and make some money? And then I had this attitude, like, if I'm going to do something, I have to do it 100%. I'm tired. I was just tired of living like I was. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be 100% driven. Whatever I'm doing, whatever I touch, I'm doing it all the way. Then I had this passion for junk removal and all the essence of it, whether it be scrap, recycling, you name it. And that's kind of what led me and Andy together. Now, we've actually had conversations going back to what he said. Your back end supports maybe a 10%, maybe not even sometimes, because you got to figure out who's doing what and where. Because, for instance, Andy and his brother love scrapping all the time. They would stay after work hours and hours and hours because that's what they love doing. Now, me, I didn't have that passion for scrap. So I was like, okay, and I would call him, Andy, what's the difference in price between raw this and not raw that? And he's like, dude, I don't know, like whatever fucking Texas says. And I'm like, okay. But it's because I wasn't going to be there in a fucking warehouse in Texas in the middle of 100,000 degrees stripping wire where
just
he
do
would
it.
do that because he liked fucking doing it.
Right.
So now it's like,
doing it just to do it.
how much is it going to cost me to pay someone to do that kind of work and do it right? Because there's a lot of knowledge that goes with scrapping and metals and all that shit. On top of that, what happens when he finally gets to the point where he's doing everything right and then he finds a better opportunity? Well, now I'm back to square one. And for me, it wasn't worth it. So now for me, my back end was what's convenient and time efficient. Like what's efficient and effective and convenient for me and my business. So like, for instance, a couple weeks ago, I had a shit ton of Romex, right? And I called Andy. I was like, hey, I got this Romex from a demo. Took me an hour to strip it out of a house that had asbestos in it. So they kind of did all the hard work for me. And I was like, you think I should strip it? I mean, it's maybe 100 something pounds. And he's like, you can, but you got to understand, I don't do this anymore. So I don't have a stockpile of copper or Romex to add to it. So kind of for me, the best thing at the time was just take it in how it is, collect your few $100 and call it a day.
Right.
So
take your wife out for dinner and call it a bonus that day. That was it, right?
And that's the thing is in the junk removal, like the first year of junk removal, you're trying to figure everything out. How do you do it? How do I do this, this, and this? The last thing you want to do is save everything you think has fucking value. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be like, oh, I can sell this. But unless you have a buyer waiting, it's junk that you're accumulating in your own space now. And it's going to cost you money.
And what you said is exactly the problem. I think we talked about this on an earlier episode, is that the problem I've seen with so many drunk people is they want to do everything.
Yeah.
And when you try to do everything, you're going to do nothing really well.
Look at this guy.
And I was guilty of it.
Pressure washing and trash and whatever, right? His website right there.
Yeah.
Prime example.
He's already split 50. He's already split 50-50. Yeah. And even with you're talking radon, you're talking dumpsters, and you're talking junk removal. Mm-hmm. Those are three different industries. One, you can't stretch yourself three ways, mm-hmm. right? And then if you do, even if you get into one of those three, you can only do parts of it. Now, radon testing might be, less variables, but then it goes into, well, do I want to do radon mitigation? Oh, do I also want to do weld testing? Do I want to go, and then all of a sudden you're the testing guy and you're not really great at anything. Right. It takes discipline in every industry you're in. And even with junk removal, you got to say, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do junk removal and one other thing, and that's it. Whatever those things are. Like, I'm going to do junk removal and resale. I'm going to do junk removal and antiquing, junk removal and eBay, junk removal and scrap. Junk removal and then maybe dumpsters is the other business. Mm-hmm. I don't know, right? Like, even that's a stretch because now you're dividing your assets.
Yeah.
Like, because you only have so much time. And if you're like, I'm gonna do resale and scrap and recycling, oh man, like okay. you're gonna do all of them, and you're gonna do all of them poorly.
Yeah,
it's better to master a few and figure out who you can work with.
We had this conversation, Andy.
Do those?
Yeah, we still have them. I have my personal opinions about dumpsters. Like, either be a dumpster company or you're not. And the reason why is because, like he was saying, the way to be good at something is to be all in, and you have to be focused. So far, for all the junk removal companies that I know that offer dumpster options, they have a constant battle. Which should they push further? Man, the dumpsters, I get a lot of calls. It's consistent, and I don't have to do much, but I make more off the top when it comes to junk removal, and on the back, it's a constant struggle.
Right.
And then also, how do you say that what you do is the best when you offer two things that compete with each other?
Yeah.
Like, that's my issue, right? If I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to do junk removal, or you can get a dumpster from me, then people are like, well, what's the better way of doing things? Right? Well, then you got to sit there and have a philosophical debate about what their time is worth.
Right.
Versus, hey, if you want to, I tell people all the time, if I go to a house, this is a classic example. I go to a house, there, mom or dad has moved on to senior living. They've taken their stuff. Now they got their kids in their 50s or 60s, and they're like, how much is it? I tell them the price, right? Let's say for simple hillbilly math, right? Let's say it's two trailers worth, right? 2 trailers is equivalent, or I'll say 4. I'll say 4 trailers because it's better for my example here. 4 trailers is equivalent to 2 dumpsters. 2 dumpsters are going to run you about $1,200. 4 trailers of mine are going to cost you about $2,800, right? So now I'm more than double the price of a dumpster, and they'll say, "Oh, we don't want to spend that. We're going to get a dumpster. It's $500-600. Okay, it's $500-600 delivered plus your fuel surcharge and everything else. You're over $600, right? Closer to $700 right now. Fine, got it. God bless." They'll give up 2-3 weekends and get halfway through filling that dumpster. And then they call me, man, it's a lot of work. Yeah. And I'll say, yeah, you got the stuff on the first floor. You haven't gone to the attic. You ain't gone to the back bedroom yet. And you sure as hell haven't gone down the stairs to the basement.
Right.
It's only going to get worse. And they're like, oh, you're right. And then they'll say, hey, what would it cost for you to fill the rest of this dumpster? And then do your magic. And then I do it. And then sometimes people are like, hey, we did it. It was no big deal. We got some neighborhood kids. God bless. And I'll say, okay, good.
Cool.
I'm glad you found a solution that wasn't me. That you got your problem solved, but you got it from a dumpster company. That's an inherently different solution.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We talked about it. If you see a guy that's out there washing his own car, he's probably not going to call you for junk removal. Right?
Well, you know what? He's also a one-time customer versus a repeat.
Yeah.
The people that use you have to look at them. How can I have their business again? Send them a thank you card. Send them a gift card to fucking Starbucks or something. And the people that use the dumpster, they get the neighborhood kids to help out because their grandparents are moving and they live in a different state or whatever. You got to understand what's their motive? Well, my motive is I have to do this obligation the cheapest way I can. And honestly, I don't care because I'm probably never going to talk to you again.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where it's a long grind. The other thing is with dumpsters, it's impersonal. When we go into people's houses, we're physically going into their house.
Yeah.
And it's a sacred relationship to a certain extent. They're letting you in. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that. And then also, not only do I enjoy that, but then you get this relationship built.
That's the treasure.
The likelihood of them, right? Correct. The likelihood of them referring you or using you again, giving you, a survey or a review, all those things you want in business is so much higher because you've done more than just drop off a container.
Yeah.
So if you want to be in the business of just dropping containers and making life a little more convenient for them, God bless. But if you really want to serve your community, you go the junk removal route. And again, I'm not knocking any other industry, but I feel that's how passionate I am about the junk removal industry. Because at the end of the day, I'm not mincing words. It's not about the stuff. It's not about the junk. It's not about the project.
The people.
It's the way you make people feel when you leave.
Mm.
They feel like the weight of the world is off their shoulders. They feel like they have the financial freedom to sell their house now. They feel like this burden that's been burying them is freed them up. That's the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And again, when you get a new dishwasher put in your house, I don't know how you feel that way. New garbage disposal, new outlet. Think about these other places. When you have junk removal, there's an emotional piece to it.
Yeah.
People, the stuff they carry with them is now gone. So, way philosophical there.
Well, that's your why.
If you're going to get into junk removal, go.
Andy's why, right there.
Go. What's that? What'd you say?
That's your why, pretty much, right there.
100%.
100%
is my why.
There you go. And I think for me, my why when it came to junk removal, I'll give you all 3 of them. Okay. Why did I want to get into junk removal? At the time, it was an opportunity and it was there. I took it. Why did I stay in it? Because I didn't want to quit before I knew all the answers that I was looking for. Right. I built something. I knew it worked. People are honestly, the whole industry is people. I met a lot of great people, a lot of great connections, honestly, it changed my life. The opportunity did. It just happened to be junk removal. But when I figured it out, wow, there's so many different parts to junk removal. I want to learn all of them. And I want to be great at them. And then why did I sell? Why did I get the fuck out? Because I got to the point I felt very limited from where I was and who I was with, that at that point it would be more of a stress factor, and I could probably grow to resent it if I were to stay on any longer. And I was at a very profitable stage in our company that we looked at it and we're like, look, here's two options. We can either Casey go 100%, or let's look and see if we can make something out of it. If we can't sell it, I was prepared to take it on anyways, 100%, and get to it, and make my initial exit change into a different goal. But then we put it up for sale because I was ready to move forward, because I found my true passion wasn't just junk removal. It was actually building and helping and being in business of the junk removal industry. So that was my 3 whys, man. And I like that because the first one, Andy and I, our first whys are completely different, man. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, we want the same fucking things. And that's why we're doing this shit, like guys like you. I'm not trying to convince you to get in junk removal. If you asked me straight up, hey, if you had any business, would you choose junk removal? I'd be like, fuck no. Why? Because you got to work too fucking hard to do it. That's my answer, right? Short answer, like, no, it's too hard work.
Right.
But if you're interested in it, learn more about it. Look at his website. Look at mine, Facebook. See what they look like. Go work for this guy, even for a weekend.
Go.
And then you'll figure out.
Go bang. The best thing you can do is go. The best thing you can do is go bang jobs. Just go bang jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
What questions you got for us?
Yeah, go. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's you made some really good points about splitting the difference between, say cans and junk removal. That's not a way that I had thought of it yet, about splitting your attention, and that makes a lot of sense.
Not just your attention, but also your resources.
Yeah,
right.
One thing was your attention, your time, but now it's your trucks and your equipment.
Right.
And your people.
That's a non-emotional. That's a very disciplined business piece.
Yeah.
How can you make more money?
Right.
Same reason why people ask me all the time, why don't you plow snow in the winter? Well, if I plow snow in the winter, I can't haul junk.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I can resell and scrap in my warehouse without my truck. So now my truck can still go out and make me money.
Mm-hmm.
And I can do things on the backside here that I have more, the warehouse is it's finite, but I have more available,
right?
That I'm using. Well, I have a finite amount of trucks and a finite amount of guys. And if I start getting distracted, I'm not going to make the money I need to make.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I've passed on that deal. So I'm no longer looking at that, but I do still feel like I want to do it. Maybe just not right now. I don't know. I mean, analysis paralysis. You just think about things and then
that's why I said. I'll tell you what. We're going to wrap this because I got to hit volleyballs here in a minute. Go bang jobs.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing you can do is go out and junk removal jobs. Hit these guys up and be like, hey man, I'll work for $15 an hour. I just want to see if maybe this is my thing. Go deliver containers. Maybe go look into resale, or see what the resale opportunities are. Maybe sell some shit on eBay and see if that gets you fucking excited.
Right.
Go do different things. You will succeed or you will fail, but 100% of the time you will collect more information, right? And you're going to stop doing this analysis, which is leading to paralysis, because you're going to go out and start testing your theories.
Right.
And in the field is the only way it happens. I can sit here and look at spreadsheets all fucking day. I can do it. Don't fucking matter until I get out of my goddamn office, pound my feet against the pavement, and see what's going on in the world where things start to change.
Right.
So there you go. Make it simple. Go out there and do the fucking thing. That's it. That 9 out of 10 times, do the fucking thing is the right answer.
Right.
Right? Now figuring out what the thing is, that's a little, different.
Right.
I gave all my new hirees, I gave them the first week as a trial. I tell them, in the first week, you have a week to determine. You can come to me at any point in time and say, this ain't for me, I'm done. And I'm not going to judge you. Hell, I'll even welcome you back. But after that first week, you're going to know immediately, do you want to work here? Do you want to do this every damn day? And as an owner, you have to think that way, because at first, especially in your position, unless you buy a turnkey junk removal company, which I can't tell you what names I know that are that easy, That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be an employee of yourself because you have to figure out the system. You have to do the fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. Well, there we go. Do the fucking thing right here in the Trash Talk Business Podcast. Casey and I don't just talk about helping people and supporting individuals that want to get into the junk removal business or veterans or entrepreneurs. We actually do the fucking thing. This has been episode 11. Thank you, Chris Chase, our guest from Virginia. Where is it in Virginia again? I like that name.
I'm in Elkton, Virginia.
Elkton. What was the name of that place we were looking at? The business. Where was that at, though?
Luray.
Luray.
Yeah.
We're going to call it from Luray, Virginia. I love that name already. Y'all got mountains. We ain't got mountains here. Appreciate you coming on the show, being vulnerable, being honest, throwing yourself right into it with us, and being transparent about your reservations, because business is fucking scary.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. And being willing to come on the show, being willing to be challenged by Casey and I, we do appreciate it. You, along with all the listeners, make the show better. If you want to be featured on the Trash Talk Business Podcast, hit up Casey and I. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. If you can't find us, you're just not putting forth much effort. And we would love to feature you because we love to hear your stories. To Casey's point, why you want to get in, why you got in or you stay in, and why you got out. Preferably junk removal, but God knows what we can get into. For myself, Andy Weins, and Casey Bubba Lawrence, this has been the Trash Talk Business Podcast.